Hopefully my instructions for you have been clear enough so far, and you're currently watching this video ready to do some work at the end of it. Like I said to you, today's work is on anecdotes, and the reason why we're doing anecdotes today is because I think they're missing from a lot of your work on question 5 so far. So you should have had some feedback from me on Teams already based on the question 5 that you've done, that you completed on Friday. If you haven't seen your feedback already, then feel free to go and have a look at that. I do think that although the structure of your answers and the way you've used introductions and some of the use of persuasive features and non-fiction features is great, I do think that anecdotes are missing though. So today we're learning to develop our understanding of anecdotes so that we can use them, so that you can develop your own written style and your ideas. They are quite a useful thing to use when it comes to explaining your own point of view and persuading someone of whatever it is that you want them to think about. So what is an anecdote then? It's basically a story from your own life. So an anecdote, it says here, an anecdote is a short and amusing or interesting account which may depict a real incident or person. It's a story that's from real life that's used to prove a point or to illustrate an idea. So, for example, Roald Dahl often uses anecdotes and stories from his own life to prove points within his novels or to explain ideas within his novels. That's how we could use them in fiction. Now, we're not interested in fiction at the moment, we're interested in non-fiction. So here's another couple of examples for you. The first one is The Rock. Hopefully you recognise him, he's quite famous. Now, The Rock uses his social media to persuade people to do things, and he explains his own ideas, his own points of view all the time on his social media. But he doesn't just use examples from other people, and he doesn't just talk without proving what he's saying. He uses stories from his own life. So if you search for him on YouTube, you can often find examples of him making motivational speeches or motivational Snapchats and TikToks and things like that, where he talks about his own life. There's one particular example where he talks about having been an American football player and then moving into wrestling and then moving into film, and how hard that journey was for him and how many times he failed and how many times he got up again. So his anecdote there was effective in motivating his audience to go and do their own workouts or to fail in their own ways. Another example, as you can see from the bottom picture, is the donkey appeal. Now, these adverts are always on telly, and the anecdote is always a very sad story about how donkeys are treated and how hard they work, and how much our money can help those donkeys out of the situations they're in. Now, whether or not those stories are 100% true or slightly exaggerated is not really our concern, but it could potentially be not a made-up story, but certainly one that's been exaggerated. So we need to keep in mind that our anecdotes, although they are based on truth, may not be entirely true. Okay? So, what would an anecdote look like in the task that you were given last week? Remember, you were given a task on sport and making sport fun and fair for everyone. This isn't quite an example from one of your pieces of writing. I've changed it so that it's suited my idea here, or our learning objectives today. It says, across the country, hundreds of thousands of young people take part in some form of sport at least once a week. For example, there are over 1,000 football teams in the UK for players under 16 years of age. These players aren't in the game for money or fame, they simply want to enjoy the sport with their friends, as well as becoming fitter and healthier. Now, that's a decent paragraph, but it doesn't include an anecdote. There's no personal story in there, and that kind of makes it a little bit more distant. It doesn't make it as engaging, as personable as something with an anecdote would. So I've changed it there with a red bit here. So instead of talking just in general about football and football teams, I've said, personally, I love playing football every weekend. My team is like a family to me, and being able to train and work out with them every week has provided a fantastic release for the pressure of my academic work. We certainly don't play for the money or fame, we just play because we love the game. Now, that anecdote isn't entirely true at the minute. I'm obviously not a school-age child, and I actually don't play football anymore, but I used to. So I've tweaked my anecdote, I've changed my own personal story to suit the task I was given and to prove a point within it. And by doing that, I've given myself the opportunity to use a simile. My team is like a family to me. I've used some sophisticated vocab, like the release for the pressure, academic work, things like that. And just overall, this answer feels more personable. It feels more believable. And the more believable we can make our writing, the higher our mark is going to be, because obviously our details are more engaging for our reader. So this is what I would like you to do today. On the next slide, you're going to get three tasks. Each one is an option. You can pick one of the three. The task is going to be a GCSE exam topic that's come up in previous years. So these are all question fives, writing questions that have come up before. Your task is to write an anecdote that could fit within an answer to that question. Now, I don't want you to write a whole task. I don't want you to spend 45 minutes writing a whole answer to a question 5. I simply want you to write that anecdote that could be used to support it. Okay? So, here are your tasks. The first one is about school uniform, and I should imagine there are a lot of you that have got anecdotes and stories about uniform, whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. The second one is on climate change, and again, I should imagine you've got a fair few stories about littering, or about car pollution, or about the wider impact of climate change, maybe on animals, maybe on even other cultures that we can talk about. I'm sure you've got stuff in there as an anecdote to use. The third one is about traffic and specifically cars within city centres. So that one allows you to think about the town that you live in. Maybe you live in Plymouth and you be in the city centre. Maybe you live in Scotland, in the town, the main road down to town gets very busy with all cars. So there's an opportunity for you to use anecdotes there. Remember, if you're finding that you struggle to find an anecdote for one of these topics, then you can make one up. It's okay at GCSE in GCSE English to be making up your anecdotes to suit the task that you're given. No examiner is ever going to think, oh, he's made this anecdote up, it's all a complete lie, let's give him 0 marks. They're looking at your ability to create a convincing argument or a convincing point of view in your writing. So have fun with that Year 11, and make sure, or please be aware that I'm still online to help you should you need it. Have a good one.